There's this feeling we all chase, that one thing we think will finally make us happy. Maybe it's money, right? Maybe it's the perfect relationship, a dream job, or even just hitting a certain milestone, losing this amount of weight, or, getting this rank in this video game. But like when you get there, it doesn't always feel the way you thought it would, quite frankly. You tell yourself, maybe I just need more. But what if the problem isn't that you don't have enough, right? What if you're looking in the wrong place entirely? I want to talk about how, like, it seems no matter what happens in life, and I'm sure some of you guys will resonate with this, it seems like you thought this would make you happy. You thought that XYZ would make you feel more alive. And I feel like every time you get there, you don't fully feel satisfied, right? Do any of you guys feel that way sometimes? I remember vividly a story, I believe it was July 4th, 2023. At the time, I was at a job I hated. I wasn't making a lot of money. My salary wasn't that high. I was doing some side work, with the landscaping as well. And I remember it was July 4th, and, we went out on my dad has like a fishing boat. We went out on the lake. My whole family was there. My sister, my mom, even my dog was on the boat. We were fishing and stuff. And, I tried very hard to enjoy the holiday. Like, I tried to just, relax, just kind of kick back, get some sun, catch some fish. And there was times where I felt, I was having fun. But overall, I told my mom, I remember a couple of weeks later, I told her, I said that whole day, I really, wanted to be able to relax. I wanted to be able to enjoy the holiday. But I was just so upset with the amount of money I was making at the time, And I'm making more than double I was making then, close to triple. But it still is just not, I still have that feeling where I just feel like it's not enough. I still struggle to, I don't necessarily struggle to pay bills or anything like that, but it's just more so the fact of you go out to eat and there's this bill, you go out with your friends, there's this bill, you got utilities, you got rent, right? You got all these different things in 2025. And quite frankly, the dollar doesn't go as far as it did 40 years ago. And I think, it's good to have a healthy balance of wanting more. It's good to want to improve, whether that's in your career, your fitness, your relationships, your knowledge, whatever that may be. But at the end of the day, it's not healthy to always feel like you're not enough or you're not where you're supposed to be. So I want to talk a little bit about some main things that I've been trying to reframe my mind on. And I'm just curious if you guys resonate with this at all, because this is a big problem. I've noticed this in a lot of my friends. I've noticed this in myself. And it's something that, quite frankly, affects a lot of us. I think part of it's due to maybe social media. Maybe it's because you go online and you see all these edits of these quote unquote Instagram gurus that claim they make $20K a month copywriting, and they're, on private planes, and they're touching down in Miami and they're on their balcony because they studied, bro. So there's all these things that are happening online, and they make it seem like, oh, copywriting easy, high ticket sales easy. They say all these things. What about the guy who works construction and he makes $70K, and he's actually building real things in the real world, and he's building roads that we drive on, and he's building the roads that these gurus drive their rented Lambos on. How do you think he feels? And quite frankly, he might feel more fulfilled sometimes. I've even noticed that myself. I've said before on these videos that I work kind of in tech sales now, and I still do some landscaping on the side. But there are times where I look back and I think, when I did full-time working with my hands outside all day, although it was very stressful running a small business, I also sometimes feel like I was a little more fulfilled and I felt better because I was outside. You know what I mean? So I think, when it comes to, never feeling like you're enough, it's kind of like a mirage in a desert. I thought of this the other day because I was playing Uncharted 3 randomly. By the way, if you never played the Uncharted series, go back and play it. But there's a part in the story where you fall from a plane. No spoilers or anything, and you're wandering through the desert, and you see like a mirage of water, and the main character, Nathan Drake hadn't had water for a few days, and he kept getting closer and closer, and every time he would get there, the water wouldn't be there. It's kind of like how the happiness is, the whole if-then happiness trap. If I make 10K a month, I'll be happy. If I make 20K a month, I'll be happy. If I have a six-pack, I'll be happy. Which, by the way, I will say, if you do get more fit, it would probably make you happier. But pretty much everything besides that, oh, if I get this new car, I'll be happy. If only like, my girlfriend or my boyfriend did this, I'd be happy, right? It's basically like you're walking through a desert, dying of thirst, and in the distance you see water. That's the goal, and you think that goal will finally satisfy you. Come to realize, though, when you reach it, it's just a mirage, right? The relief you expected isn't there, and now you see another one further ahead. And I do think that has to do with social media. I do think it's made it worse, but it still is on you. It might not be your fault that TikTok destroyed your brain, but guess what? It's your freaking responsibility to fix it. No one's going to fix your brain but you. No one is coming to save you. So that's how most people chase happiness, always thinking the next thing will finally fulfill them, but it never does. And it's like we always want more. Have you ever went to the gym, you tried running on a treadmill and increasing the speed bit by bit? At first, it feels fine, but soon you're just sprinting just to keep up. That's how life feels when you base happiness on achievements or material things. You reach a goal, but then the bar moves higher and higher and higher, and you feel like you have to keep running. And like I said before, social media makes this worse. It's like seeing someone else running faster and thinking you have to match them. If you were to go online right now and look up how, I don't know the exact statistics off the top of my head, but last time I looked, if you were to look up right now, like how much money does the average American have in their savings? I'm pretty sure, like, I don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure like 50% of Americans don't even have like $1,000 in their savings. And that doesn't even factor in debt. I mean, people go to college, they get these Mickey Mouse degrees, and they take out all this debt, come to realize they're still in debt 10 years later. And quite frankly, they open up their phone and they see a guy, they see a guy who is driving a rented Lambo around Miami, dipping his face in Saratoga ice water. It doesn't make you necessarily feel the best, right? So I totally understand how you guys might feel. I felt this way myself. And I think you should, like I said, have a balance of always wanting to improve. But like, dude, like there's also nothing wrong with like just spending some time with your friends and family either. Like you shouldn't be like how I was, which by the way, I still am like this a little bit, but you shouldn't, be hanging out with your family, just constantly stressing about making more money. That's not a good way to live your life, right? Like I said, it's good to be motivated, but it's not good to be that, caught up in it all the time. So I really, guys, I want you to keep that in mind because it's important to remember that. And what actually creates lasting happiness? And I've tried to implement this a little bit more in my life, but happiness, it's not a destination, it's the journey. You guys have heard that saying before. It's kind of like, on July 4th, right? I brought up July 4th earlier. What happens on July 4th pretty much every time? Fireworks. Okay. So I've always said this, but I think fireworks are one of the most overrated things of all time. So come at me if you want, but they're cool. But like at the same time, like, they explode and then it's over, right? So chasing external success for happiness, it's like that firework. It's exciting in the moment, but it burns quickly, leaving you in the dark again, right? But true happiness is more of like a campfire. It doesn't explode with excitement, but it's steady, it's warm, and it lasts long. That fire comes from things like purpose, gratitude, a good network of friends, connection, true love, content, things that don't fade after the moment passes. So you guys need to reframe your mindset on this whole idea of happiness. Instead of constantly chasing fireworks, start building your campfire, right? Focus on progress, not just results. Maybe limit social media. I understand social media can be good for staying in contact with people, but like, do you really need to see every single day edits of this $20K a month copywriter driving around a Lambo and dunking his face in ice water? Like, do you need to see that? Because I like, this is a hot take too, but I think social media, it's not dying, but it's changing. I think people are starting to get fed up with it because they've realized all the facade around it. So like I said, it's good to want to make money online. It's good to want to make money in a business or a job, but you have to be able to balance that gratitude and that genuine connection with the real world versus just looking at social media all day and constantly comparing yourself. The old saying, comparison is the thief of joy. That is so true. That is so true. So like I said, focus on progress, not just results, and really appreciate the present, not just the future. Strengthen relationships, not just your achievements. Don't live by what you've done. Live by who you are as a person. And at the end of the day, it's, happiness overall, it's not a finish line. It's not something you finally reach and just stay there forever. It's in the process, the people, and the moments we often overlook while chasing more. The truth is, what you're looking for isn't somewhere out there. It's been here the entire time. The question is, are you going to pay attention? Thanks for listening, guys. Drop a comment below because I would love to hear your experiences about this. It's one of those things that I've struggled with myself and trying to get better at every day. And I'd love to hear more. Consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you again soon.